Hello everyone, welcome back. In this lesson we're going to be covering HTTP enumeration. So in our last lesson we went over our Nmap scan for the first time and we started some enumeration, and we're going to continue that now. So if we go into our Kali machine, and we're going to kind of just pick up right here where we left off, you can see that we enumerated SSH, so we're just going to go down the list here. And we're going to look at port 80 for HTTP and port 443 for HTTPS. So the first thing I like to do when I enumerate a web page is I like to go to the web page and see if there's anything interesting on there. So let's go ahead and do that now. So if we tab over, I'm going to go to the website here at 134.131. And if we go here, we're just seeing a test page. So this is common if a web server is running but the home page isn't set up. Maybe there are some pages that are hidden and we can't see them, directories that are hidden, we can't see them right now. Usually if we're going to look for more information, we might dig into the source code here. It's not really worth it. We could take a quick peek if we want, but it looks pretty typical. If you're doing like a capture the flag, maybe you might find something in here sometimes that gives you a hint if you're kind of stuck, but that's not the case here. So I don't think the source code is going to be any good information, and I don't think this main directory here is going to be any good information for us. So let's check out the HTTPS and see if there's anything different. And it's the same thing. So it's just another test page. The web server likely hasn't been set up, and if it has, the home page hasn't been set up. So we can look at the source code here again, and yeah, nothing's standing out. So when you're in this situation, the next thing you're going to want to do is run a scan on the directories. So we're going to see if we can find any hidden directories or any hidden pages that might be of interest to us. So there's a couple of tools that we can use to do that. One is called dirbuster and another one is called Nicto. So the first one I'm going to show you is dirbuster. So to load dirbuster, all you have to do is go into a terminal and type in dirbuster. So it's going to load a graphical interface here, and it's pretty self-explanatory. So when it says target URL, the target URL is going to be the one that we're attacking here. So that'll be our URL. If we wanted to search against 443 for HTTPS, we can search like that with a port, but by default the port is actually 80. So we don't have to change anything here. So and if you look down, you see number of threads. Threading is what's going to make the search go faster. I like to click go faster. If your machine can't handle it, then I wouldn't. But if you got a pretty decent machine, I would go ahead and click go faster and run with about 200 threads here. So the next thing here is you need a file to scan through to search for a directory. So basically you need a word list. And your machine comes with some good word lists. You can pretty much find them if you wanted to. You could go into locate. If we open a new window here, let me make this a little bigger for you. So if we were to try to locate word lists, you can see there's a bunch, and there's even a dirbuster folder here. So we could go through that and try to see what they have. And if we browse, it might take you right to the folder, and it doesn't. Sometimes it does. So if you look through word lists, you can kind of see if there's something of interest in here. We can just go right into the folder and see if we see anything that we like. But I used to use the medium word list, and I have switched on from there. Let's see what's in here. So they've got medium, they've got small, but what they don't have is a large word list. So I'm going to show you how to download one of those, and we're going to use that instead. I did find that the medium doesn't find everything, so the more the better. It might take a little longer, but it's better to be more thorough. So let's go ahead and go back to a web browser. And let's just go out to Google. And let's type in just dirbuster word list, just like this. And so we can click on this first link here from GitHub. So we're going to probably use GitHub a lot. If we don't use it in the course, you're likely going to see it in your real OSCP course, that you're going to find exploits through GitHub. Exploit database has a bunch, but I find that GitHub sometimes has more refined and better, I guess, updated exploits. Sometimes exploits work for a little bit and then they break. So this is a good place to kind of dig around. And if we come into here, there's this big word list right here that we're going to want. So if we just click on that, I just like to click on raw right here. And then I'll just copy the whole page. So Control A, Control C. And then I already have a text editor open. So I'm just going to go ahead and open that and paste it in there. So from here, what we want to do is there's one word I want to remove that they like to include. Let's see if we can just do a Control F here. So I just want to remove manual. So this is going to cause us more headaches than we're ever going to find directories with this. Really, you're going to find manual directories for, say, PHP. And you're just going to get endless amounts of documents and directories, and they're going to lead to nowhere, and it's going to increase your search time significantly. So by taking this out, you're going to save a ton of time. So let's just go ahead and do that. And now I'm going to save my word list, and I'm just going to call it biglist.txt. Okay. So now let's go back into our dirbuster and let's just choose that word list. So you see the big list here in the root folder. And that's it. So all we have to do is hit start. Oh, it's saying our port's not valid here, so we do have to add 80. I apologize. And we have to add HTTP. Okay, so some things have changed in this version a little bit. So let's do that and then hit start. Okay, so this is just going to go through directories and it's going to see what it can find. So it's already found some directories automatically, and we're just going to look through those. And eventually we'll have a tree view here of what we're looking for. And it's interesting because even though we took manual out of it, manual still showed up. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. But what we're looking for here is we're just going to go through the tree and kind of see if you can find anything of interest. So you're looking for any kind of pages, really. So maybe these MRTGs might be something of interest. This test.php could absolutely be something of interest. So if I were enumerating this machine, I would go to every single page. This test page is kind of interesting. So you can actually right click on the page and just say open in browser. And it looks like it's just a PHP test page. So let's view the source code. And there's nothing different here. There's nothing hidden in here that we're missing or commented out. So this isn't really anything right now. Sometimes you'll find test pages like that and they have hidden code or some sort of form or something just in the background that you're not supposed to find. So this is kind of how we find it. And we finished in 44 seconds, which is pretty good. I wouldn't say that's typical. It's alright for being just a local box. When you're scanning over VPN, it might take a little bit longer. So this is kind of where we dig at here. And the other one I wanted to show you is going to be Nicto. So let's make this a little bigger here. So with Nicto, the syntax is pretty straightforward. You just do nicto and then a switch of H and then your IP address that you want to scan. So the nice thing about this is it does what Dirbuster does by searching directories through a common word list. But what it also does is it kind of searches for vulnerabilities. So it'll kind of tip you off if there's a website or a page that you didn't find and maybe it knows it's vulnerable already. So it just kind of gives you another place to look. So this scan went really fast and there's not a lot of information here. If we were to see some vulnerabilities, it would kind of just spit it all out at us. It does give us some information. It shows us we're running an Apache server on Unix. It's showing Red Hat Linux. So we do have a little bit of information to enumerate here. Another interesting thing is when you see the HTTP methods. So the get, head, options, trace. These are nothing, but if you see something along the lines of put or like a delete option or remove option, that's something you might want to be interested in. But as of right now, you can kind of look through these and see. So there's vulnerabilities to denial of service with possible code execution. You might want to look into that. Apache 1.3 is vulnerable to local buffer overflow. So these are things we could look up. So say we were interested here in this vulnerability, we could copy it and we can go into our Firefox and see, it looks like we closed it out here, and see if there's anything of interest with that. So all this is going to be research. Enumeration takes a long time, but it's the most important part. So we're going to try to find out the exact exploit we want to run so we run it once and we don't make any mistakes. The worst thing that we can do in a real test environment is to fire off a million different exploits and possibly break a box. So if we look here, you can see that Chiaptrix comes up in a few of these, so there are walkthroughs for this. I encourage you not to look at these yet until we get through the course. We're going to do our own walkthrough, so don't get ahead of me here. So there are answers out there, I will say that now. So if you look here, it doesn't look like anything's showing up outside of these Chiaptrix. We're really not finding anything on this vulnerability. So, but this is what we would do. We'd come through here, maybe even look up the CVE or the CAN number here and try to find more information. So they do provide links on some of these. So say this one is vulnerable to overflows here. This one has remote buffer overflow. So you can try to click on this link and see if that brings up anything. And so what you want to ensure is that this vulnerability matches your system and matches the exact version type you're running of Apache, etc., etc. So there's just more research here to go into. I can kind of tell you that there's nothing vulnerable with the HTTP. It's just something I wanted to show you. But the other scan I wanted to go through real quick is just the other version of Nicto. So if we do an H here and we type in the IP address, if we wanted to search for HTTPS, all we have to do is change the port number. This is beneficial too because you might find some websites and HTTP sites hidden on different ports, very odd ports. So make sure you look carefully at your scans and make sure you go to every web page. So you could run a scan just like that, and that's really it. So if we want to cover our steps again, I would say the first step is to go to the website, look at the source code, see if there's anything of interest, and then while you're doing that, it doesn't hurt to already start these scans, this Nicto and the Dirbuster. I'd recommend running both at the same time. So you just want to gather as much information as possible, and you want to do it, I guess, at the same time, so you use time management. You don't want to enumerate the website, then go back and scan. So if you have the opportunity to scan multiple things at once, you really should. And especially with HTTP, it's not going to really break anything. So that is it for this lesson. My name is Heath Adams, and I thank you for joining me.